Man of the year, man of the year, man of the year. Welcome to the #1 friendship podcast in the country. I'm Matt Ritter.
I'm Aaron Karo.
Guys, go to manoftheyearpodcast.com to check out all of our stuff. We've got merch, hats, onesies for the little baby friends that are trying to get made. Check out our YouTube channel. A lot of good stuff. So, Karo, I am proud of myself. I actually followed some of my own tips and hacks.
I love it. Tell me more.
So, you know that I have certain go-tos and you have certain go-tos. I would say you have a process for friend making and friend maintenance that isn't the same as mine, even though we've sort of given a ton of tips and valuable insights for how to do this, but everybody's going to kind of make it their own, which I think is important for our listeners to go, okay, absorb everything we're taking in. And if you're, an algorithmic kind of guy like Karo, have it all sorted out like that. If you're kind of a free flowing guy like me, do your free flowing thing, but remember your kind of go-tos. So I did one of my go-tos the other night. We were at dinner for our buddy Jeff's birthday and Pearl Jam was playing that weekend. And I had been thinking months earlier that I wanted to go to Pearl Jam. And we know that one of my go-tos for friend maintenance and / up-leveling friendships is to just buy an extra ticket and then invite a friend.
Buy the tickets and then figure out the invite after.
Yeah. So we were literally at the table and I was like, man, I wish I would have done that. I'm sitting right next to our buddy Brian. I'm like, either of you guys like Pearl Jam? And Blondie was like, no, I hate them, which was kind of funny. And Brian was like, I love Pearl Jam. I'm like, awesome. Great. We're going to Pearl Jam. I'm buying the tickets right now at the table.
Wow.
So he was like, hold on, let me just check with my wife. I'm like, okay, cool. So I literally went and bought the tickets right there and then on Ticketmaster while he was texting his wife to get the green light.
Now, when you say you bought them for him or?
Yeah, well, I bought both of them right there on the spot.
But I mean, like, did he pay you?
He Venmo'd me.
Okay, got it. But like, that's half the battle is just someone's got to take the plunge, even if you're getting paid back and do it.
Right. So I just did it anyway. We didn't like discuss the details of like, I was like, look, I'll just buy pretty cheap tickets, like whatever. So it worked out great, but it just was a reminder to me like, oh, okay, this is one of my processes. This is part of the Matt Ritter method.
We call that good friending.
Good friending. And so I wanted to talk about the topic of sort of process system setting versus goal setting.
Okay.
And I'm a James Clear fan. I'm going clear, baby.
Do you want to remind our listeners who are not psychos like you who James Clear is? And remind me.
Yeah. So James Clear wrote a book called Atomic Habits, which I love. That's where we joke about our stacking habits. It's just about how implementing processes and building habits is the way to get the desired outcome. So a lot of people make this mistake in life, but also in friend making of just going, oh, I want this or I want that. And this is the thing that I desire as my goal. And that's it, right? They go, okay, same thing with work, right? Or career stuff. Like if we work in Hollywood. If I say I want to sell 2 movies this year, that's a goal, right? But what's wrong with that?
Well, you're skipping all the steps and also you can't control that.
Right. You hit the nail on the head. Both of those are exactly right. So it's a huge gap between the thing that you want and where you are. So he talks about like, you're setting up yourself to fail because you don't have anything along the way to help you get there. And then 2, it's out of your control, right? A lot of times it's out of your control. Now, if you flipped it, right, instead I said, okay, I'm going to write 5 pages a day every single day. If that's what I set up, and then quarterly I'm checking in with my team about the market and we're setting up these pitch meetings quarterly, I'm much more likely to hit those goals. I don't even need to put that as my goal. In fact, it's almost like instead of setting goals, set up the processes and the goals are more likely to follow. That's basically James Clear in a nutshell.
So basically, like if you have a non-Hollywood job, I want to get a promotion at my job. Instead of saying I want to get a promotion, you'd say I want to crush this next meeting. I want to, to smaller bites.
It's not just smaller bites. That's part of it, right? It's breaking it down to the granular behavioral level, but it's about for him, it's all about building habits because the habits are sustainable. A goal is not a sustainable thing. A goal is, I don't know, a word, a dream. I don't even know what a goal is now that I'm a clear acolyte.
Right. I mean, a goal is amorphous.
Right.
Although I guess it's tangible, but getting there is a little amorphous. You could sell 2 scripts in 1,000 ways.
Right. The other thing that he talks about with process, with system setting, is also identity setting. So he's got this thing where, like, in the process of it, he says, I am a person who works out. Let's just say it's a fitness thing, right? If you start setting up your systems where you go to the gym every day, like you did a couple of years ago, you can then attach your identity to that process and say, I'm a person that goes to the gym every day. And that reinforces that thing.
This guy sounds like he must be the worst at parties.
Imagine getting cornered by James Clear. Yeah. So what do you got on the agenda next weekend? Well, I'm doing this thing and I'm going to Vegas. I love Vegas. He's like, oh yeah, you're really not setting yourself up for a healthy year.
Oh no. Or it's like, oh, what are you drinking? A vodka soda. Oh, actually, I just considered I put the ice in the glass and then it's a little bit of soda and I form a habit, do whatever.
So you're a tequila soda drinker. No, it's just something I like. No, that's what you are.
That's what you are. What are his qualifications? By the way, everything you said, usually I fight you on this, but I've come around to it. So I'm going to.
Well, you tend to have a natural motivation. So I always said you've been doing clear without knowing you're doing clear.
I went clear before clear was clear.
Yeah. I actually think that you might be related to James Clear.
Maybe.
Yeah. You might be in the Clear family.
Is he like a psychologist? Or just some guy like Tim Ferriss?
He might just be some guy. He might just be some guy.
Is that a very 21st century thing where you could just be some guy?
Very 21st century. It used to be there was one wise man in every village. Some village didn't even have wise men. You'd have to travel like 1,000 miles to the nearest shaman. And now we just have some guy.
Yeah, some guy. Listen, this is a podcast, could be called Some Guys of the Year.
Some guy whose LinkedIn blew up. Hi, I'm Adam Grant, aka a guy with a big LinkedIn following. No, but Grant has a degree, doesn't he?
Adam Grant, by the way, who is a professor at our alma mater, he rejects us so quickly. I kind of respect it. Like, I reach out to get him on the pod, and he responds. He goes, "No, too busy."
Yeah. Even though he's having some other people in our space.
Yeah,
he's writing book
doesn't like anybody else on the space. Matt just sends me links of other people on other podcasts that we want with no commentary. And I'm like,
yeah, I go, why is Vivek Murthy doing somebody else's podcast?
Why is the Surgeon General on Smartlist? Doesn't he know we emailed him 2 years ago?
Yeah. We will get Vivek.
We'll get him. We will get him. So
I wanted to bring it back to friendship a little bit, because I do feel that a lot of our listeners are just kind of like wanting to do the things, and they want the shortcut. We do too. We all want the shortcut. Like, we want the friendships. We want our friendships to be better. None of us really want to work that hard at it. And I actually don't even think implementing these processes for friendship building is even that much work.
I would almost argue that we, maybe without knowing it, or maybe you knew it, were sort of preaching this at the beginning, because we always said you're not going out to try to make new friends.
Right.
That's the amorphous goal, obviously.
Right.
You're going out to have a conversation, to, see a familiar face, have an interaction.
So I thought what would be helpful for our listeners is, why don't we just kind of hit them with some clear-esque process tips versus the like a lot of times we tell them about stories of places and things to do, and we say in a more broad sense, like be consistent or embrace consistency or embrace randomness. Can we give them some, not to put you on the spot, clear-esque process goals that they can then go, okay, I'm going to start implementing my system?
Well, let's start at the base level, right? We always say you got to get off zero.
Yeah.
That means doing anything. If you're literally at home, you're doing nothing, you're never going to make a new friend. So let's get off zero. And what was our rule? You can't go home
Unless you've gone out.
Right. You can't go home unless you've gone out. So we need to leave the house. I don't even care if you're going grocery shopping.
Right.
I don't care if you're going coffee. You're not stopping people in the aisles and chatting them up. You're literally just out in the world.
Right. But again, even if you go to the grocery store every week and you go to the coffee shop every week, that's not enough alone to have that's not a sort of a friend building process, I would say.
So, obviously this brings us to third place, which is you are going to places that there is social interaction.
Yeah.
And if I would say a goal, because I do it, you and I have talked about this. If we go to some networking event or alumni event or some industry event, I go, I'm going to talk to 2 people, even if it's just a hello, whatever, and then I can leave. How about that?
So that's where I think we're putting our money.
Okay.
The communication process is something I think we need to talk a little more about. Like, what if we were to say, well, if we're just talking about, like, first of all, everybody says they have no friends, but they've got a world of people in their phone.
Yep.
What if we implemented some sort of process goal, daily, weekly, monthly? Remember, we talked about this a few weeks ago for check-ins. So that's one thing. Check-in is one thing, but another one is like quality interaction. What's a quality interaction like number you can have? Or if it isn't with close friends, we already, I think, kind of talked about close friends, but like, is there a process goal we can put to kind of newish friends?
So you're more talking about how to tackle this population of fringe friends or acquaintances or work people, and sort of create a process of maybe leveling up one to X of them.
Yeah.
Would you count doing a social inventory as a process?
Yes. I think that's the beginning of your process, right? I mean, we've been going back to this a few times. We haven't redone our social fitness score or our social inventory in a while. Why don't you tell people the social inventory just really quickly, just a reminder?
So I'm glad you brought it up because I've done it recently. So it was my birthday a few months ago. Every year, when my birthday is coming up and I'm going to invite people to a birthday party, by the way, tip/hack, always celebrate your birthday. I have a spreadsheet, which I know is super aggressive. I don't want to scare people off. It could be in your notes app, whatever. And I kind of just make a list of all my friends.
Right.
I have my list from last year, so I just copy and paste it. I delete some who I lost touch with and I add some new friends. And then I go, oh, these are the people that I know.
And I think a lot of people are a little scared when they hear like friends and spreadsheet because we don't think of our friends that way.
And by the way, think about spreadsheet. And by the way, it could be 7 people. I mean, it's not about like a quantity. It's about, I don't know how to describe it. It's like codifying it, looking at it. Like, you have these 7 buddies, but it's a little different when you write it down and it makes you think about it.
No, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to tell you guys, friendships are relationships. All your other relationships, you actually think about a little bit more actively versus the passivity with which we treat our buddies. But if we had if we had a system where we're like, okay, these are my 7 friends, and every once a month, I literally have to send a text to each one of them. That's my social fitness routine. And quarterly, I get together with my close buddies at a minimum, or monthly, or whatever that number is. And I pick up the phone X number of times a month or a quarter, and we check in every quarter and like, did I hit these? Because if you just said in my goal, I'm doing this, but without the process, you're just not going to get there, right? After the initial motivation wears off, like the gym, right? Like that's why 3 weeks after New Year's, I think they say like 50% of the Equinox, users drop off because they don't have a process. They just said, oh, I want to do this thing. But that feeling of strong desire to do that thing ebbs and flows.
By the way, in my social universe, because I think this is what your initial comment was, I also include people who are more outer circle, who aren't good friends, more acquaintances I've just met,
Right.
because those are the opportunities. If you're someone who's looking for
Yeah.
more friends as a quote goal,
Yeah.
well, now okay, guy from work, guy I just met, friend of a friend.
Yeah.
So now we have some targets.
By the way, there's something psychotically beautiful about what we're setting up here.
I don't think it's psychotic.
I'm just saying, like, I love that, like, there is a guy at the gym, there's a guy from your friend of friend group, and there's a guy at work that have no idea that you have a list of ways that you're going to make them your bestie.
To be fair, I don't have the ways. That would be funny. I just have their name. Just their name.
Yeah. No, but I do think, well, I'm saying let's put the ways in.
Yeah.
I have people in mind too. Like I have a couple of dad friends in the neighborhood, and I'm just like, okay, I feel like I've done some things. I've done the initial work, like we have a good feeling about each other. We've seen each other more than occasionally. And now I'm like, okay, I want to cement this and make it consistent. And, so like one of my dad friends, I'm trying to implement a weekly or bi-weekly morning coffee walk.
Matt, I want to share something with you that I feel I'm a little concerned. I think I'm getting the feeling that you're spreading yourself too thin.
Nah, I'm good.
I mean, you can't walk to the coffee shop anymore without being mobbed by random passersby. I
love that feeling.
How are you going to make a new bi-weekly or weekly dad friend? I can't even get you on the phone.
No, but most of my morning walks are alone anyway. So it wouldn't require me to change any of my habits.
Right.
It just requires somebody to meet me where I'm at.
I just feel like your Dunbar's number is like 5,000.
And by the way, that's the maximum for a human, but I'm me.
Yeah, chimps can do like, hundreds and hundreds.
That's right. That's right. The apex.
They remember the smell of any butt from
apex friend predator chimp. By the way, for those of you who don't remember, Dunbar's principle says you can really only know, 150 people by name?
Something like that, yeah.
Please. Easily 1,000 here.
Do you want to take a question and circle back to this?
Yeah, let's take a listen to a question.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, guys, this is asking for a friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, please send it to us on Instagram at Man of the Year Podcast, and we will answer it on the show. Matt, take it away.
So this is a good question because it dovetails right into our conversation. It says, hey, Matt and Karo, love the pod. I set a goal to make one friend this year. I feel like I'm putting in the effort, maybe not as much as I could, or maybe not quite as organized as you guys, but I'm leaving the house. I'm going to more events. I have a third place. It's halfway through the year and I'm still at 0. What am I doing wrong? Help.
Love. This is one of my favorite questions. This is a funny psychological thing. Put the friendships aside, is that when you're working on something and it's not working, how do you ever know? Like it could work tomorrow. You just never know.
You make a really good point, especially with something like friend making. Because again, we try to shy away from saying, hey, like you're definitely trying to make a friend, but we are. I mean, that's the truth. We are trying to make friends. So like, I understand the sort of deep desire to go, okay, it's binary. Like I'm either a failure or I'm a success if I've made a friend. But I don't think that's true.
But even just in life, like I always think about it. What if I came to you 20 years ago and I said, I wrote this book called Harry Potter, but 31 publishers had wanted nothing to do with me. You'd be like, well, I don't think anybody wants it.
Right.
So move on.
No, and that would be Sylvester Stallone. I mean, listen, the world is littered with stories of people who just didn't give up.
Right.
And there is a certain stick to itiveness. Again, goes back to the idea of if it's a process, we know it's going to work. If it's just a goal and you don't really know if what you're doing, like we know that these things work, right?
Right.
Now, I do wish there was a little bit more of a guarantee that we, could say, hey, you're definitely going to make this friend by the end of July if you keep doing this. But I think that's not what we're trying to really do. I think what we're trying to really do is give you a healthier outlook, a better feeling that, about your general social fitness, right? And I think unfortunately it isn't just so simple as, do these and by July you'll have a friend.
Can you just repeat, was it a guy or a girl?
Guy
Can you just repeat what the sentence was about the third place?
said, I'm leaving the house. I'm going to third place. I'm going to more events.
Got
So
it.
those
Okay.
are the three things. They basically listen to our pod.
So he's out and about. So if I'm going to take Matt/James Clear's advice, my thing is I'm going to have 3 conversations every time I go to my third place or an event, which he may or may not be doing. Because by
Right.
the way, when I go to an event and I have 3 conversations and none of them pan out, I still feel pretty good, actually.
Right. But I think this is a lot of people in that a lot of our listeners are feeling lonely and isolated and don't feel like they have enough quality friendships. And they're going out to feel like, they're taking our advice of like, hey, I'm going out, I'm going to the third place, I'm going to events, and I'm doing a little bit of small talk here and there, but I'm not building friendship. And that's what I'm hearing from this question. And it makes me feel bad because I'm like, oh, okay, we got to help. That's what we're here for. Right. And so again, part of it is like, have you looked at your entire friendship universe? Because maybe the solution to your problem isn't making a brand new friend. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's, I have a lot of friends and I have to reactivate some of those. Maybe I have a neighbor that could be my friend. So there's a lot of variables that we don't know. So it's hard to just say, hey, here's what you're doing wrong.
We talk about surface area, which is kind of just increasing the interactions and randomness. So maybe go to your third place at a different time. You go at 4:00 on a Thursday. It's just not your people. Again, we'd say consistency on your third place, but every once in a while, just do something a little off your beaten path.
Yeah.
If they've moved to a new town, which is like one of our number one things,
Yeah.
they might not have those fringe friends.
Yep.
Did they, ask about friends of friends?
Right. Our number one tip, friends of friends. I also want to back up and say, let's just give you a little grace
Yeah.
to our listener. Like, to all of our listeners, don't beat yourself up. Please don't beat yourself up about this. It's, it takes time, it takes effort, but it will happen. I believe that there are friends out there for everybody, and all you need is 1 or 2 good friends, and like generally you'll be in a better place if you're feeling like you don't have anybody in your life. It really doesn't take much.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
One thing I'm not hearing in this question is the passion. Sometimes our listeners taking and hewing to our advice too much, trying to meet as many people as possible, go to the coffee shop. But is that what you like? Is that what you want to do? Like, are you actually just like an ultimate Frisbee player at heart, or a violin player, or a walk on the beach guy? Because if those are what you love, do that.
Right. I do like the idea of going deeper, an inch wide, or what is it? A mile wide and an inch deep versus a mile wide or whatever it is. Go a mile deep.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying. Go a mile deep into some of your passions. I agree. We didn't hear that in the answer. It sounds like you're, maybe just doing a lot of different surface things. But maybe we need to pick one and dive a little deeper, or just change it up, which is what Karo's saying.
Because what we say? We say passion first and pals will follow. If you are doing the thing that you love, you're exuding this positive energy and people are going to be attracted to you.
Yeah. Here's another one. And we talked about this a long time ago. Tell people. Put it out there. There's no stigma. There's no stigma. I'm in the market for a new friend. Do it the way you would, like, hey, I'm single now. Let the world know. Let your mom know. Let your sister know. Let everybody know. The more people who are looking out for you, the easier it's going to be.
We tell people, say, hey, do you know anyone?
Yeah.
But let me
Yeah.
ask you this: if you're in a new town and we're just assuming this, who is he actually saying this to? A bartender?
I mean, a lot of different people, I suppose. Well, tell your friends, first of all, friends of friends, let everybody know, hey, I moved to a new city. I'm looking for a friend. Work colleagues. Again, your work colleague potentially is somebody who could be your friend, but also they may not be in the market for a new friend. They may not be in your age demo. They may not be the type of person that's necessary for you. You could just use that person as a potential, way to go, hey, I'm looking for a rock climbing buddy. You know anybody?
Right. Right. Yeah.
So, don't lose patience with it. It actually sounds like you're doing well. You're setting up some processes, which is great because inevitably that will prevail.
Could also try Bumble for Friends, the app,
Yeah,
just as a compliment to your getting out of the house.
yeah,
I have
yeah,
high hopes for this guy.
yeah, yeah. And I'd like to know, why don't you write back to us and let's get a little more detail. Message us of like, what have you tried? What did you feel was working at all? Are there things to double down on? Should we go to different places? Should we talk to different people? Should we spread the word a little more? I'd like to get a little more detail from you, from all of our listeners too. If you're going to send us questions, the more detailed, the better. I love the really long ones because then I feel like I get to know the person and I feel like we're a little bit better able to give you what you need.
We need locations from these people so we can match them.
Yes, that's the other thing. We actually did that for a few of our listeners that
Yeah.
were in the same city. That's something that we want to help do for you guys.
All right. Do we answer that?
I think so.
All right. That was asking for a friend. If you have a friendship question, send it to us on Instagram. We'll answer it on the show. All right, Matt, did you want to head back to process versus outcome? What are you thinking?
Well, I wanted to do our own, just a little check-in of like, do you feel you've improved your processes since we started the pod? Do you feel you've cemented certain ones, got rid of other ones? And I would maybe tell you what I've done and not done.
Oh, well, this all comes down to, you know, my New Year's resolution, which was to honor the inner circle, which was to see the inner circle more and not
Was that
disregard.
before or after you missed my son's first birthday and Jeff's birthday?
Um, well, can I finish my statement? And now we're 2/3 of the way through the year, uh, almost or whatever, and it's been tough. It's been tough. I've not been doing. I need to redouble my efforts on that. Um,
Is that why do you think that is? Is that because you've been focused on new friends and new dating, or what are the things that have impeded your progress on that?
I think it's just been busy and traveling, and I think maybe at the beginning of the year it was you have some new friends, new shinier objects, and now um
Do you have a process for that though? What is your process for what you said of like the inner circle, like giving them more focus? What's the process that you
process for me would be to put something on the books,
right?
like
So you
sort of
don't
the
really have like we don't have a regular boys hang on the books.
no. I mean, it's sort of the opposite of what you did with Brian of like, let's go to let's go to the concert tomorrow. Like I need like a let's go to the concert in 3 months, put in the books.
Right.
And I just haven't done that.
Right. So maybe you need to put in some processes on your inner circle of like, hey, every quarter, Karo's organizing. I mean, you're an organizer.
Yeah,
Karo's organizing just a close crew hang.
I do. I got to do that.
Yeah.
I got to listen to the pod.
For me, I feel like I'm not as sort of organized as you, blah, blah, blah. But my one sort of process thing that I think is for everybody, all of our listeners, the easiest one is I have just made sure I'm like dedicated to the group texts more. Cause you know me, I'm a little like out of the loop on communication, texts, emails, because
Text,
I
you're
like the phone call.
text, you're not bad. Somehow email
No, I
is
know,
worse.
but I feel that I've actually gotten better at text since the
Yes,
pod
you have.
started. Like I'm a more active participant in all of my text chains because
And so that's
I feel that you notice the people that aren't, and you're just like, oh, they don't give a shit.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I have noticed that you've been more active on our Peter Luger's chain.
Yeah, exactly. And so that made me sort of then, make sure that I'm connected to a lot of the individuals from there too, because that's the
Right.
way into that.
So that's a good process.
Yeah. That's my one big one that I've successfully, I feel like, achieved.
I mean, that's good because it's doable, it's manageable, it's bite size.
Totally. Totally. I mean, that's our whole pod is like giving you bite-sized things to accomplish, not giant Clearian, achievements like getting in shape.
Right. How, what a laughable goal.
It is. It's so stupid. Why get in shape when you can just have friends and go to dinners and stuff?
Anything else, or should we go into what do we learn?
No, I think we're good. I think that was a
All
fun.
right, so what do we learn today? Because as you stated correctly, I'm sort of a proto Clearian where I'm already a good habit former. This many of these things I already did, but I hadn't really thought about the goal. Our whole life, we're taught to like pick a goal, build to a goal, and like I really need to think about whether that really makes sense anymore. It's so ingrained in us.
I
It feels
agree.
it feels weird not to have a goal.
Listen, for me with the Hollywood stuff, I think I did drop that after going clear.
Yeah.
I did drop that for Hollywood. I actually feel a burden was lifted the last couple of years where I just was like, you know what, let me just do my thing and be the best at what I'm doing, the best
Yeah.
version of myself on a day to day. And since then, I've been crushing it.
Yeah. You're controlling what you can control.
Yeah.
And the same applies to friendship.
I think it's mental health. It's improved my mental health tremendously.
Yeah. Well, it's hard for your mental health to get worse.
Exactly. So you're starting from start at zero, going clear.
All right, love it. Well, guys, let us know if you're using any of these tips in your friendship journey, and send us your questions. Thank you guys so much for listening. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to your friends. Love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.